Hi, everyone. This is Danielle Gardner, and I'm here with Brianne Griebel, who is a financial coach for heartfelt creative solopreneurs. And she's also a 6-2 manifesting generator. So welcome, Brianne.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me. I wanted to have a chat with you because I heard you say that you do not recommend QuickBooks for people who are self-employed. And I thought that was really interesting because, when I started out in business, I got so caught up with all of the things and all the subscriptions and all the, like we do. And, certainly having a top of the notch accounting system was one of those things. So that sort of sparked my interest. So let's kind of start from like this overview level and we'll drill down a little bit to what you do recommend. But why is it that you don't recommend QuickBooks for those who are self-employed, especially creative types? Yeah.
Especially creative, like imaginative, intuitive type business owners. I've been using QuickBooks for 25 years, for a very long time. I love QuickBooks. But the thing I don't think many people understand, despite QuickBooks marketing and all of the other similar, like all the programs are similar. Like if you Google accounting software or self-employed finances or whatever, you're going to get QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Wave, Zero. Like QuickBooks used to be the one, and now, over the years they've got some competition, but they're all similar and they're all made for accounting professionals, like bookkeepers, accountants. They really are. They're based on double entry accounting, which is like basic accounting principles, stuff I had to learn in college. They have definitely made them more user friendly over the years, but they're still made for those kinds of people. And for most self-employed people, when it's just, especially when it's just the individual, like a lot of coaches that I know you work with, they don't have a lot of overhead, they don't have employees, they're not carrying an inventory, their finance needs are very basic. And I find that kind of software is more than they need, and they usually find it intimidating. Now, somebody who's maybe more like what I call left brain, like the logical linear thinking, they might dive in there and be able to figure it out and use it just fine. The creative people tend to get intimidated by all of the stuff that's at them, and it's new and it's foreign, and maybe learning software is like quickly is not their forte. So they're going to get more intimidated by the software. They're probably not going to like using it. And I find people, like especially creative people, don't use things they don't like. So they're probably going to fall behind on their finances. They're probably going to put it off for weeks or months at a time. Then they're going to scramble at tax time and feel stressed out, and then feel bad about themselves because they feel like they can't handle that part of their business. And then it just like kind of snowballs from there. It's funny. Like, I think a lot of people have this idea that they're not good with their finances or they hate managing their finances, when sometimes I think it's as simple as they just have the wrong tools for them.
Yeah.
Like it can be that simple sometimes. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you're just not using the thing that works with the way you work, or that's simplified in a way that you need it simplified. Because like I said, most people's accounting needs are very simple, until they get to a certain level or expand their business and whatnot.
Yeah. And that reminds me, like, in terms of thinking, not good with money, or I just had a flashback there to moments where I would get anxiety about looking at my finances.
Yes.
And just a general anxiety, like, and it's really because they weren't being cared for. It was because I just had, the bank, the bank account, and nothing was organized. So, and the thing about the bank account, which I was just mentioning to you earlier, that I thought good to mention now again, is, for the first few years, like I'm talking 3 or 4 years even in business, I was just using my personal bank account, and I kept hearing, you got to have a separate bank account. You got to have a separate bank account. And I'm like, why? I just didn't get it. It wasn't until I started taking care of my finances, I started getting like set up properly, that I was like, oh, I see. Right?
Yeah.
Because
It's a lot simpler when it's all in the
there
same
can
spot.
be all these little transactions that you're doing, like with your personal stuff, buying things for like $1 and just all these sort of little crazy things that are going on. You do not want all of that you don't want to have to be sifting through all of that. That was sort of the main thing for me. And there's probably all sorts of other benefits as well. But that was a really big one.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I just remember when I did actually go, right, I'm going to get help with getting set up with my finances or my bookkeeping. It was only then that I really felt I was in business, you know, because prior to that, it was just like at tax time, I would somehow find ways to run a couple of reports or, you know, PayPal or whatever it was. And, you know, just scratch things together and submit it and hope for the best, hope that I did it all right, you know.
That's most people.
Yeah. And it's very different now. So this is why I think this is such a really helpful conversation, because there might be people who were like me who still haven't got in there properly yet, or they're using a system that is too, you know, advanced or whatever.
Yeah.
And as you say, it doesn't feel good, so they avoid it. They put it off. They don't do it.
Yeah. Those creative type people, they're the feelers. Like they're the people who follow their feelings, and they tend to think like finance is this some otherworldly thing that they can't follow their feelings about.
Yeah.
Like you can follow your feelings. If you hate using any kind of accounting tool, like there are other options. Like you can change. Like you can find something that feels good for you, and that will help in your finances. And I just wanted to say, like, to your point about finally feeling like you're in business, and I tell people, like, I think people have this weird relationship with like finances and money. I think we all do on some level, but I no economics professor is going to agree with me, but I kind of have started to define finances as the relationship you have with money coming into and out of your business or your life. So taking care of your finances is just taking care of that relationship. And the feelers are actually really good at taking care of relationships, so long as they don't have something that blocks that. And a lot of times it's, like I said, your tools, your accounting software, or the habits you've set up, or, you know, various different things. But, you know, when you look at it that way, when you're nurturing a relationship, you can talk to your numbers can talk to you, but you need a translator. And sometimes that's your accounting software.
Yeah. I love that analogy. And I came across something recently that is a play on that from a slightly different angle a bit. And it's like, it's almost like if money was a person, what would they think of you?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know,
I tell people, personify your numbers, personify them. What are they telling you? What are you talking to them? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Like when money shows up, you're like, oh my God, like what took you so long? Like, far out, you know, or you go, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. You know, like this, there's a whole play exploration you can do with personifying it.
Yeah.
So this kind of leads us to the next thing. The next question is like, what are some of those key considerations like creative people are to consider or could consider when they're choosing the right sort of bookkeeping, you know, accounting system for them?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I just mentioned, like, they're the feelers. So they like, that's a strength. So you can use your feelings when you're like looking for your options, or when you're just considering actually what you already have in place. Is like, how does it feel like, you know, when you're, you know, on the, you know, maybe you haven't started using it yet, you're just considering it. So maybe you're on QuickBooks homepage or whatever, and you're looking at the options. How do you feel when you're looking at that? You know, how does, you know, does it seem like, you know, maybe it might be a little challenging, but do you feel like this seems like something I could learn? Like this seems like I can watch some videos, I can read some tutorials, I can figure this out. Or does it just feel like a definite no, like, you know, sacral? No. You know, there are so many options out there. You don't have to go with what everybody tells you. You don't have to go with what the marketing tells you. You can just trust your feelings. And that's really kind of the biggest thing. Like you can keep, and the other thing to recognize is that you can also change and evolve your accounting systems as you change and evolve. Like whatever you pick now, you don't have to stay with.
Yeah.
Like you can actually kind of upgrade or downgrade sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you can do that as your business needs change. And the better you are at having that relationship with your numbers, the easier that change is. Because I think then people go like, well, I hate what I have set up, but it's set up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't, boy, the idea of changing my system over. Like, well, that's an interesting, to your point. Like, well, what if that was a person? Like, this isn't working, but we're gonna make this work.
Yeah. And you can get
relationship.
You can get support for that as well.
Exactly.
Which people, that's another thing, we often can put off getting that support.
Oh yeah.
Whereas it's just, I found it extremely helpful just to have someone just kind of take me under their wing or take me by the hand initially and just show me the way, and then I took it from there, and that was perfect.
Yeah.
And so just want to emphasize, and like your key point there was really trust your feelings. What a revolutionary idea, right? In this way, day and age. Trust how it feels in your body, not so much what's going up here. Like,
well, and I find people don't, like I said, like when it comes to finances, people seem to think that works differently than everything else.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's finances. You can't use your feelings when you're navigating finances.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can. Maybe not entirely 100% all the time. Maybe you do have to use that, logical left brain part at times, but you can absolutely use your intuition, your feelings, your body responding to it. That's a sign.
Yeah. So then in terms of, there's a couple of things that you actually do recommend that people look at if they're self-employed. So, and I love the first one, which is, tell us about the first one, the Found. So the bank is called Found, but it's more than a bank account.
Yes, I stumbled across this. I don't remember how I found it. I found it, I think, about 2 years ago. And it is the thing I have been looking for decades to help people who, like, if I'm not doing their accounting, if they don't have another professional, if they're doing their own, this is the thing I've been looking to recommend for people for decades. And I'm so glad it finally exists. So it's found.com. It's what a software company, an app company, partnered with a bank.
Amazing.
And they had a beautiful little baby called found.com. So it's a fully functioning bank account. You get a routing number, an account number, you get a debit card, but it also is built into its own accounting system, its own bookkeeping system.
Yeah.
So with very minimal like setup with you can dive in pretty quickly. Like when money comes into your bank account, it classifies it as income. When you log in, first thing it says is like, hey, since the last time you logged in, you've had 5 transactions. What kind of expenses are these? And you just tell it what kind of expenses they are. And it learns. Sometimes it'll go like, oh, Office Depot is always going to be office supplies. So it does it all for you with very minimal interaction. And they keep adding lovely features without making it more complicated. Like you can now invoice people from there.
Amazing.
And you can send your invoice out. It'll go right into your bank account when they pay it. They have great reports. But one of my favorite things, and this is, of course, for people in the US, it's based for IRS tax purposes. But as you're going along and collecting income and spending money for expenses, it's like, oh, based on all of this, we estimate this is what you owe in taxes for this particular business. So it constantly gives you a running total of your estimated taxes. Oh, but wait, there's more. I swear I'm not getting paid to advertise for them. I'm just so happy that it exists. So in the US, you are supposed to pay quarterly taxes, estimated taxes throughout the year. It tells you, hey, your estimated taxes are coming up. This is what you owe, most likely. It can't, until you file your taxes, you don't know exactly, but this is what you probably owe. And this is how you pay it. And it helps you walk through the steps to pay your taxes. So it really is like, it is accounting, it is banking for the self-employed, truly for the self-employed individual.
Yeah.
There's no back end accounting. There's no, it's my favorite thing. I'm like, I told them, I was like, I need to be some sort of representative for you.
Yeah.
Because it's finally, I've told people to use QuickBooks in the past. I was like, well, you can use QuickBooks. I've never enthusiastically recommended any accounting tool or system. Now I do.
So you're sort of emphasizing that it's very good for self-employed. Does that mean that it's maybe not so good for larger businesses?
Correct. I mean, you could hack it to make it work. But at that point, if you're a larger business, like if you have payroll, if you have inventory, you're probably going to want to find a financial professional to, if not do your accounting for you, then to set you up with better systems and things. But this is great for the solopreneur, the individual. They don't have payroll, they don't have employees, they don't have a lot of that overhead type stuff. It's just them probably offering services, minimal expenses. But it's great. And also because it trains you to have that one business bank account, because the nice thing is also, I should add, they've added a feature where if like you use another account for some business transactions, you can manually add those numbers in.
Yeah.
So that's nice in case, like, you spent something on your personal card by accident on a business transaction, you can manually add that in there. But it kind of forces you to keep everything in that one nice little bank account, which makes your life so much easier, as you found out.
Yeah. So then where people are like, I absolutely am loyal to my existing bank,
right,
and I don't want to move, you do have another option, or a suggestion.
So people seem to think that they can't use just a simple spreadsheet, and you really can. And there are several options. If you use Excel, you can build something in Excel, you can build something in Google Sheets. I created a nice, beautiful option in Google Sheets for people that it organizes all your finances, but it also does all the math. It creates reports. It creates some pretty little charts and graphs that help give you more information, help you better have that conversation with your numbers. And that's, I mean, the one downside is there is manual data entry, but I don't necessarily think that's always a bad thing. Like, I think it's always valuable to spend one-on-one time with your numbers. It's kind of like they say sometimes, like actually handwriting like notes or something can help you better understand things than if you're typing it out super quick. I think that might be true a little bit with doing, like, taking some time and manually entering your income and your expenses. It helps you kind of really just get a close relationship with your numbers,
build that relationship with money.
So there is that, but I think that's a good thing. Like, you're really, like, when you're manually typing in, like, oh, I just spent $500 here and another $100 here, boy. Maybe I want to keep a closer eye on what I'm spending.
Now, so I thought we could have a quick look at, you've got this is like a new offering that's about to be released. And so I've had a sneak peek at this. So let me just quickly bring it up, because I was surprised by the images that you showed of what you've created here. Like, it's lovely. So hold on.
I thought so.
All right. So here is your simple accounting spreadsheet. And let's just have a look at, you've got a little video there that explains it, but there were some images down here like this. I mean, amazing. This is not some boring spreadsheet, and that looks like it would be really useful information. I think they were the main images that I saw. Oh yeah, these ones too. Yeah, it looks so good. And so with this offering, you've got the option to buy the spreadsheet only, which is amazing, at $49.
And it's, you can use it year after year.
Or this option, which the details are further above, but it's essentially the spreadsheet plus a one-on-one with you, isn't it? To sort of get set up, or just
so kind of like you found it so helpful to have that person kind of walk you through things. That's what I want to be available for people, is like, here's the spreadsheet, but also, perhaps they might need some help learning the spreadsheet, although there's some really great tutorials that I put up there, but also like help them set up their accounting systems, like go over their financial habits, like talk to them about where are they struggling when it comes to their finances, and help them find solutions that work for them, specifically with the kind of person they are and how they operate. So I wanted to be available for that too. So that's included on that other tier.
Yeah, great. So underneath this video, I'll absolutely be putting that link. Which, does that also take people to your website, or is your website
no, that's part of my website. Currently, the website, there's nothing much else for the website. It's under construction.
So that's just
depending on
when
they watch that. But the website, there's a homepage that they, if they want to sign up for my newsletter, is on there.
Yeah. So that's the main link anyway.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover in this conversation. Hey, so for anyone who's watching this, if you've got any questions for Brianne, just come along and comment below, and I can let her know, and she can come back perhaps and help you out.
We'll get them answered.
So thanks for watching, and also thank you, Brianne, for having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it too.
Yeah. All right. Bye for now.